welcome back to Real Reviews. This is Cody Williams, and we're here to talk about the movie Pet Sematary. No, I'm not talking about the lackluster remake that released last year. The one I'm referring to is the classic 1989 movie that is actually liked by audiences everywhere for the most part. As if you already didn't know, this movie is based on the Stephen King novel. Have I read it? No, but I do plan on changing that soon in the foreseeable future. This is one of those films that always makes you feel uneasy no matter how many times you see it. It's not a movie that relies on jump scares, but it is one of those that uses tension, suspense, and visual imagery to carry it. It's not one of the scariest movies I have seen, but it can be terrorizing in its own little way. The movie's story follows a doctor and his family as they move into their new home in the small rural town of Ludlow, Maine, which is alarmingly close to a busy highway. After the inadvertent death of Ellie's cherished cat in an awful accident, a desperate Lewis takes his friendly neighbor's advice to bury it in an ancient mystical burial ground imbued with alleged powers to reanimate the dead. Despite the persistent warnings from a recently deceased patient of his, a tragedy-stricken Lewis has no other choice but to return to the mystical graveyard in hopes that things will be different this time around. Sometimes dead is better. I will admit that this is not a perfectly made movie by any means, but there are some aspects of it I do enjoy, however. The thought of the dead being brought back to life and having a totally, completely violent demeanor is really one of the most unsettling things this movie has to offer. When the family cat is brought back to life, it is creepy as heck, as opposed to how sweet and cute it was when it was alive. If you haven't yet seen this movie, I'm going to talk about a spoiler real quick, so here we go. When their son Gage gets ran over by crossing the busy highway, it's a shocking experience and it's terribly sad. Every single time I rewatch this movie and see that part of the movie, I have to admit, I always tear up a bit. When Lewis exhumes the body of his son after the funeral and reburies him at the mystical graveyard, you know it's a bad idea to begin with, but somehow you understand his pain of losing his child. Gage eventually comes back to life, but turns into a completely different character as a scary homicidal maniac. Bad things happen, of course, because it's a Stephen King movie. But this movie knows how to perfectly make the audience feel at unease, especially the flashback scenes with Zelda, who was Rachel's bedridden sister who died of spinal meningitis. Those scenes are truly the stuff of nightmares. The movie has a great foreboding story and atmosphere, which are the best things this movie has to offer. For a horror movie to come from the 80s, it does have some great production value. The makeup and prosthetics used for the gratuitous gore look amazing. However, the acting by everyone in the movie felt off for my liking with the exception of Fred Gwynne. His character, Judd Crandall, was the only one that sold me with his performance. I don't know how to describe it, but it felt like they were all holding themselves back as far as their acting capability goes. Wait a minute, I take that back. The child actor who played Gage was a total standout. His ability to play a sweet and carefree kid and then switch into a homicidal little creep is also one of the movie's biggest selling points as well. Overall, Pet Sematary is a great movie to watch during the Halloween season that is guaranteed to freak out anyone without the use of jump scares. Sure, it does have its fair share of issues such as the subpar acting and effects that didn't age well, but nevertheless, it's still somehow a fun and creepy horror flick. I give this movie a B. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Keep up with my real reviews.